We all have a skeleton, right? But we all have a skeleton, right? But let's be honest, we don't really think about what it is. We just kind of see it as a scaffold.
So let me ask you something. What if your skeleton wasn't just a frame? What if it was a living city, constantly being rebuilt? I mean, really picture it. A bustling metropolis with construction crews, supply lines, the whole 9 yards. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's not. That's the reality we're diving into today.
All right, let's get into it. The first thing we need to do is completely shift our perspective. We've got to understand the fundamental truth about bone because it is so much more than just a frame.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition, but I want you to focus on one single word: living. Bone is a living, breathing tissue. I mean, it grows, it heals itself when you break it, it responds to stress, it's packed with cells and nerves and blood vessels. Just that one word, living, that fact alone completely changes the game. It changes everything about how we think of our own skeletons.
So, if our bones are this incredibly complex, living material, then what's the big picture? What's its grand purpose? Let's kind of zoom out for a second and take a look at the skeleton's master blueprint, what it does, and how its design is so perfectly built to get all those jobs done.
You know, your skeleton is an absolute master of multitasking. I mean, think about it. First, the obvious stuff: it gives you your shape, your structure. It shields your most important organs, like your brain and your heart. And of course, it works with your muscles so you can move. But that's just the beginning. It's also a mineral bank, storing calcium. It's a factory, literally, making your blood cells. And it even stores energy as fat. What an incredible resume, right? And what's so fascinating is how perfectly form follows function here. It's like the body has these different architectural blueprints for different jobs. You've got long bones, like your femur, acting as these powerful levers. You have short bones in your wrist, built for stability. Your skull, that's a flat bone, basically a protective shield. And then you have irregular bones, like your vertebrae, with these wild, complex shapes for really specific tasks. Nothing is random. It is all 100% purposeful design. Okay, time to zoom way in. I want you to grab your microscopic hard hats because we are going on a tour. We're going to travel from the outside all the way into the very heart of a single long bone to see how it's all put together. So our little tour has 3 main stops. First up, we're going to start at the ends of the bone. That's called the epiphysis. Next, we'll pass through the metaphysis. That's a super important growth zone, especially when you're younger. And our final stop is the long central shaft, which we call the diaphysis. You'll see that each one of these regions is totally distinct with its own special job. And you can really see the difference between the ends and the middle right here. The ends, the epiphyses, they're made of this light, spongy bone. Why? Because that's where the red marrow lives, our blood cell factory. But then you look at the shaft, the diaphysis, and it's all dense, compact bone built for pure strength. Plus, it has that hollow cavity inside to hold yellow marrow, which is basically fat storage. So 2 parts of the exact same bone, but with 2 completely different designs and 2 very different jobs. Now, every great structure needs a protective layer, right? Well, bones don't just have one, they have 2. On the outside, you've got the periosteum. It's this tough membrane that wraps around the bone, and it's packed with nerves and blood vessels that are absolutely essential for repairs. Then on the inside, lining that marrow cavity, you have something called the endosteum. It's a much more delicate layer, and it's where a lot of the action happens with those bone-building and bone-dissolving cells. Okay, we're going even deeper now. Let's see how this all comes together on an even finer scale. We're zooming in to meet the microscopic construction crew and the incredible materials they're working with. Trust me, this is where the real magic happens. So our bone city is built from 2 main materials. First, you have compact bone. This is that super dense, hard outer layer. It's organized into these amazing little cylindrical structures, called osteons, that give it unbelievable strength. Then on the inside, you've got spongy bone. It looks like a delicate, web-like network, but it's surprisingly strong. And it's also light, which makes it the perfect design to house and protect all that delicate bone marrow inside. So, who's actually doing all this work? Well, it's time to meet the crew. First up, you've got the osteoblasts. Think of them as the builders. They're the ones laying down all the new bone tissue. Then you've got the osteoclasts. They're the demolition crew. Their job is to break down and clear away old, worn-out bone. And finally, you have the osteocytes. These guys are the site managers. They're the mature bone cells that just hang out inside the bone, maintaining the whole structure and, crucially, telling the other cells what to do. It's this constant, incredible cycle of building up and tearing down. Okay, so we've got the blueprints and we've met the construction crew. But what about the secret formula? What exactly is this building material made of? And what about the utilities? You know, the power and communication lines that keep this whole living city up and running. The secret is this absolutely brilliant chemical recipe. Get this. About 70% of your bone is made of inorganic minerals, like calcium phosphate. That's what gives it its hardness and rigidity. Think of it like the concrete in a building. But the other 30%? That's organic material, mostly a protein called collagen. This gives it flexibility. It's like the steel rebar inside the concrete. It's this incredible combination that makes bone both super strong, but also resistant to shattering. It's genius. And just like any city, a bone needs its utilities to function. It has a super rich blood supply, a whole network of arteries bringing in oxygen and nutrients to keep all those cells alive. And it has a nerve supply too, mostly in that tough outer layer. That's the alarm system. That's what signals pain when you have a fracture. It's just one more powerful reminder that bone is a living, feeling part of you. This quote just sums it all up perfectly. Bone is not a static material, but a dynamic tissue. What does that mean? It means your bones are smart. They are constantly sensing the forces you put on them every time you walk, run, or lift something, and they remodel themselves to get stronger right where they need to be. They are constantly adjusting, rebuilding, and optimizing themselves for you. It's incredible.
So as we wrap this up, I want you to remember that this isn't just some abstract biology lesson. This is happening inside of you, right now, as you're listening. Your actions, the food you eat, the exercise you do, those are the direct instructions you're sending to your own internal construction crew. So that leaves us with one last question to think about. What kind of instructions are you going to give them? What will you do with this amazing living architecture that you get to build every single day?